I'm taking the moments that I can to come on here and talk to you guys. The wife and Mia are out now. They went to go hit the playground. I've already done my walk today, gotten some exercise, so I thought I'd come on here and let's talk, man. Let's see if we get some people in here. And let's see. So here we are. Joker, how you doing? Right on, brother. Glad to have you here. Welcome to this party. Gonna have a little Red Bull and have a little conversation while we got some time. Afternoon, Denny. Glad to have you here. It's a Sunday, man. And this morning, if you have not seen it, the Joseph Wooten unfiltered interview on my channel, and it's a great interview. It's such an amazing story, and those guys have helped so many musicians and taught so many people, and just have been such great examples for how to live life. Stash Burner, how you doing, brother? So if you have not seen the Joseph Wooten interview on my channel, please go see it. I want that video to do great. That is the deal, man. If you have not seen it, please take the time to go watch that. I feel like these interviews, man, are not getting the amount of views that I would like them to get. And look, man, it's no skin off my shoulder. I'm having a great time doing these interviews and reconnecting with some of my old friends and just sharing some of the inside stories of a career in music. So, you know what? This might be the last one I do for a while, unless this one does the numbers that it deserves. And I'm not talking it needs to get 100,000 views. I'd be happy if this one gets 3,000 views. And that seems like a paltry sum, being how it's Joseph Wooten, Victor Wooten's brother. He's been playing with the Steve Miller Band for 31 years. Man, I mean, dude, how does one, for me, I had a lot of friends in Nashville that I played with played with over the years for 30 years. But being on a road gig for 31 years, man, that has got to be a record. And it is just incredible. But, man, I'm just glad everybody is here. Let's get those thumbs up. Let's get this room jumping. Let's have some fun. Thank you, Joker. Yeah, I know it's football Sunday. And, I just haven't been watching football as of late, man. It's the Titans. The Tennessee Titans are just horrific. I don't know. Are they getting their butts handed to them again today, man? I just can't bring myself to watch anymore. So, for me, it's just switching to where I was when I was a teenager, which is just music, 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 music. But man, I am glad to have, if we got 2 people in here, I am glad to chat with you guys and talk about whatever you want to. This is interactive chat. So if you put me a question, I'm Marty. Oh, hey, Marty, do you know the Sweetwater Rock Camp? I'm not that familiar with that, but that might be a cool thing. I know Marty is talking about moving to Nashville and wanting to do all that and get into the music business, man. Anything you do like that, Marty, you're going to make connections. And that is really the key to having a successful career in music. Will you be 100% positive with takes, or will you ever delve into controversial topics? Bo, I have talked about controversial topics from the get-go. And, but I don't try to unnecessarily paint things as doom and gloom, but I'll give you an example, Bo. I get these Facebook messages from people that watch my channel. And this guy has been, kind of poking at me for a while. And he started off with, "Who are you? I don't know who you are. I think I like your channel, but who are you?" And I'm like, well, dude, who are you? Who is anybody? And I don't know, Marty. I can't speak for Sweetwater, but here's the deal, man. Then the guy sends me a message today, Bo, uh, that the guy sent me a message and says, "Hey, man, why are you so negative? I think I'm a fan of your channel, but man, why don't you look on the bright side of things?" It's just like, dude, it's like, look, man, I don't come on your gig and stand there and demand to hear Freebird. And it's like, I don't mind if, not every video I do appeals to everyone. I get that. Not everybody, likes every interview. That's okay, man. It's okay. And I replied with him. I told him, yeah, dude, Harry, I try to be positive. There is doom and gloom in the music business, and a lot. The troubled champions. Let's talk about hip hop. Well, I guess we could talk a little bit about hip hop, but I don't think anybody else in this room really wants to talk about it. But I remember half of your interactions are probably bots. Yeah, this isn't a bot though. This is a guy who does solo gigs here in Nashville. Uh, Sounds good, Marty. That would be fun to be here. Then remember, it's going to be cold, bro. Cold. Nashville is cold in December. But yeah, Harry says let's not. Good morning, bro. Or BBQ. No, it's BB Barbecue Rockstar. Right on. Long live rock and roll. Right on, Trouble. Man, look, not everything is roses. Sun. What did I say last night? Not everything is sunshine and strippers. But you tell the honest truth. Yeah, I try to tell the honest truth, man. Thank you, Bobby Johnny Wesley. I appreciate that, man. Wish I could have known a lot more back in the day. Well, see, that's the thing, man. I think this information needs to be out there. Yeah, dude. There are guys. There are literally. Look, man. There are guys that are on YouTube, and they were taking offense at me being realistic and telling of the dangers of Nashville. Marty, if you come into Nashville, be aware that it can be a very dangerous place. And there was a cartoon that kind of depicted that. I did a whole, Maddie, watch every video I have on my channel on Nashville. There's your homework for tonight. Watch all the Nashville videos. Just go in the search engine of my channel and type in Nashville and watch all of them. There's so much information there. And Barbecue Rockstar, I don't know if you're going to be able to make me laugh. Nashville sounds horrible for anyone trying to be original. Well, Bo, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that at all. Nashville is probably the last place in the United States where you could work full time playing music. Yeah, you might not play original music. You probably would have to start off playing cover songs, but that's what every musician starts out doing. You don't start out playing your career, playing your original songs. You have to learn as a reference. You have to learn cover songs. And let me tell you something, those cover songs that you learn when you were a kid, that timeline of music, like I don't know a lot of 90s rock songs because by that time, I was either in my own rock bands or writing my own songs, and it wasn't what I grew up on. So the music that I grew up on and learned was 70s, 80s, 60s even, all of that stuff. And that music stuck with me through time. That's what I would work. And if I had to play cover songs, occasionally we'd have to play Bruno Mars, or occasionally we'd have to play, The Weeknd or something like that. But for the most part, man, the classic songbook is what we played. I don't have friends and a girl, and nobody want listen to me play guitar to try connections. Well, look, Maddie, what town are you in? If you play guitar and you don't have a girl, I don't know what to tell you with, bro. Right on, barbecue. What is that? Barbecue. Right on, brother. Fort Worth. Yeah, there's a lot of tribute bands here in Florida. Talk about Bad Brad and the Top Cats. Stash Burner, that's not me. It's the Fat Cats, right? That's not me. That's another Bad Brad. So that is not me. And that album, exists. And that's another guy. If you have a guitar and no girl, you're doing something wrong. Exactly, Christian. Look, man, I would say the majority of us out there got into playing guitar and got into playing music because we saw the impact that it had on the female audience. Now, look, when I was a kid, I saw a video of Elvis, right? And I heard the girls screaming and all that. And I said, man, that's what I want to do. I want to have that power. And I still think about it today. Like if I'm in the car and there's a good handful of stations I listen to on, in the car on the satellite radio, right? And sometimes I'll put on the Elvis channel and I'll just imagine him just pointing at the audience and just making girls scream. Just have that power. Is an incredible thing, man. So as a performer, Madi, can you sing? Do you sing? Because, just playing guitar in today's world, I take my med every day, but I never give up on my dreams. Well, I understand you probably have challenges, Madi, and that's understandable. And I don't know your situation personal, but man, I wish you strength and success, and I hope you get to live your dreams. That's the most positive message I can give anybody that tunes into this channel is I hope you get to learn your dreams. New guitarists should play with open tunings and sing. Well, Bo, new guitarists should learn their chords and be able to sing. I will counter that with, you don't have to learn open tunings. I could teach you 3 chords in the course of an hour and give you 100 songs that you can play with those 3 chords. That's the reality. I wouldn't recommend somebody just start with open tunings. It's too easy. Open tunings you could play with one finger. Sure, Bo. I could press a button on my computer and not have to play anything at all. But I would give somebody the basic foundation of traditional guitar playing. I would teach them a G chord. I would teach them a C chord. I would teach them a D chord. And with that G, C, and that D, there's about 100 songs that they can play. And they'll actually be playing the guitar, not just moving one finger up and down. Yes, I could tune the guitar to an open chord, and you could go down to the 5th fret, and there's your 4 chord, and then you go down to the 7th fret, and there's your 5 chord, and open is your 1 chord. It'd be the same thing, but it's not really a skill. AC/DC. Now, AC/DC is a great band, especially their early stuff. They tended to get it's a little more involved in, say, playing Back in Black or some of those things where they got these like moving riffs. But AC/DC is a great first band to just emulate. If you can cop and learn those songs, and a lot of it is cowboy chords, a lot of it is those basic chords, and hum to the chord you're playing. Yes, work on your voice. Bon Scott was my favorite. What do you guys think, Joker? I agree. He was the best, but Brian Johnson had to carry on. The band just couldn't collapse after Bon Scott died. Do I like Fractal? Madi, I like it just fine. I like it just fine. I don't own any Fractal at the time, but I've had Fractal stuff in the past, and it's great. It's great. Back in Black is a perfect album. I would agree with you. It is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. That stuff still sounds amazing today. Real instruments played through real amplifiers with real vocals and a great producer and a great band. What more do you have? What more do you need than that? You don't really need much more than that. But that sometimes can be a very difficult thing to put together. To find 4 or 5 guys that have that like-minded thing. Something I never thought I would do is playing in the street for tips. On a very positive note, so many excellent people support playing in the street. Bobby Johnny Wesley, I hear you, brother. The past 20 years in the North Georgia mountains. So you're playing on the street in the North Georgia mountains? Man, I salute you, brother. You bring in beauty and music to the street, and that is a beautiful thing. They maybe have Barbecue Rockstar, but their thing, man, they are a tight band. That is their thing. I've been thinking of going to London at ICMP. I don't know anything about London or ICMP Academy. Maybe it's cool. I don't know. I can't answer that question. Bo, it's simpler than, say, learning Van Halen, or it's simpler than learning Rush, or it's simpler than some other stuff out there, So yeah, while it's not like a math rock band, it does take some skill. But I think once you get your power chords down and your cowboy chords down, I think you're on your way to starting to learn some AC/DC stuff. Thunderstruck is not that hard. That's not that hard to play. Somebody could learn that. It's basically hammering on one string, But for a very beginning player, that would be a challenge. Yeah, that would be a challenge to play. But yeah, man, AC/DC is a great band that a lot of people would learn. Just like Kiss. Kiss could be considered something that would be easy to start to learn. Well, dancing across the stage in front of 100K. Yeah, man. AC/DC is great. So Ramones were extinct. Ramones is another one that would be great to learn as a beginning player. Learning your power chords and being able to play some Ramones songs. That would be something that I would do. What are your thoughts on the Grateful Dead? They were really unsung pioneers in live amplification and recording. Well, my thoughts on the Grateful Dead, while I was not a Deadhead, I admire the fact that they played so many shows and they improvised, and I think that is a beautiful thing. So I salute the Grateful Dead, and they carry on today as Dead and Company, or at least some of them do. And what speaker are you using in the Dr. Z Maz 18 behind you? Well, that's actually a Maz 38. That's a Maz 38. And I'm not sure. I would have to tilt that lava lamp and take a look at it, but it's whatever was stock in that amp. So Humbucker Music is a place in Georgia, and they had a blowout I used to have like 4 or 5 Dr. Z amps, and that's the last one I kept. That is the most versatile one because being the 38 watt, it's got a lot of headroom. That is a cool sounding amp. That is definitely a cool sounding amp. So what else you guys want to talk about? I got a little bit of time to kick it with you today. It is a very nice amp. Getting paid to practice the energy of the people, priceless. We're encouraged playing in the streets. Keeps your hands in shape. Yes, it does. Earl, how you doing, brother? It's been a while since I've seen you. Yeah, so man, it's just always cool to come on here and talk music, man. I love talking shop with you guys and sharing the joy of music and answering your questions, answering whatever. Earl, I missed you, man. It's been a minute. Yeah, I was just thinking about you the other day, man. When I saw some demos of some Sire guitars, I was like, man, I wonder how Earl's doing. Man, it is great to have you here. We got 43 people in here. Let's get those thumbs up. Now look, 5-watt tube amp, mini stack, top cab, bright sounding, but okay. You just retracted your message. So now notice that if you're not following the chat, when you watch this live stream, good afternoon, Joe. If you're not following the chat is what I'm feeding off of and trying to answer you guys' question. And sometimes it's hard to keep track with all of this, the best way, if you want me to really dive deep into a subject, the best way is to put the question in a super chat or super thanks. And that way I'll take the time and really get to focus. Do you like 30 and 20 watt amps? Tone better than big amps. Bo, it just depends on what I need to be able to do. It just depends. If I'm playing arenas and stadiums, I want a 50 or 100 watt amp. Big bottle tubes, no EL 84s or any of that. EL 34s or 6L6, something like that. But playing in a small club, towards the end of my time in Nashville, I was using very small amps, Princeton reverbs, deluxe reverbs, and then my Quilter Aviator Mach 3. So I was using, low wattage amps just because I could get a good tone at a low volume. Nashville is becoming more and more a low volume town. Even though if you went down on Lower Broadway, you're going to hear it. You're going to hear a lot of loud guitars. I was surprised at the difference the floor gave. Yes, when you put an amp on the floor, when you have your cabs on like a hardwood floor, it's always going to sound better than when you tilt it back. Now remember the old Fender amps with the tilt back legs, and everybody would have you turn your amp up and tilt it so that you could hear it. That's not those amps don't sound the best that way. They sound better when they're level to the floor and the floor gives that low end of the floor, especially like a wood floor. That's where an amp sounds best. But I understand for, sometimes the sound guy wants you to point it at your head, and that way you don't blast you're not, going back and diming the amp, and all that. So tilt back legs have a purpose, but to me, it just doesn't have as much low end. Yeah, bass guitar was wonderful. Solid wood floor, Fender twin reverb mic'd. Yes, a good brat is a sassy little brat. Somebody's asking if you can get a good brat in Nashville. I suppose you can. Can I think of a place off the top of my head where you can get a decent Chicago dog at the Red Door, Midtown or Red Door East in Nashville? So if you're looking for some, a Chicago hot dog, which I know is not a brat, and I don't know if they have brats there, but you can get a decent Chicago hot dog there. So how's the pizza in Tennessee? It's way better than it used to be. There is 5 Points Pizza in East Nashville. Very good, thin style, New York style pizza, and you can get it till late. They are open late, so if you get hungry at 11 p.m., catch an Uber across the bridge, go over to 5 Points, get you a pizza, boom, you're set for the night. Costco wieners, Earl says. Hey man, a Costco hot dog and a drink for $1.50. You can't beat that deal, man. You cannot beat that. Now, they show the picture, and it's got the glorious amount of onions on top, and man, I don't see any actual onions there when I go there. That's the only thing that disappoints me is I would load that thing up with onions and mustard, and then you'd really have something. But, let's see what we got. Deep fried pizza in Glasgow, Scotland. Deep fried Mars bar as dessert. So, Cocky, are you in Scotland? Is that where you're at? Where do you see the music industry in 10 to 20 years? Oh, man. Woo! Well, if you haven't seen the Joe Wooten interview, right on, Scotland. Well, I think I'm part Scottish there, Cocky. So, man, I salute you, sir. Where do I see the music business in 10 to 20 years? Man, with AI and all that, watch the Joe Wooten interview I did. The last probably 20 minutes, we talk about the future of music and where it's headed. Play live or you won't survive. There's a lot of truth to that. Why do you think a lot of these old acts, get back out on the road? It's the only way to get any cash anymore is to play live. But that's getting siphoned more and more because of the expenses of touring live. Is so expensive. the bus rental and all that stuff, man. I don't know, dude. I don't know. Maybe there'll be some throwbacks. I hope that there's people that want to do it the real way. The one man band is making comeback. Well, I'll tell you what, Bo, a lot of the bars here in Florida are all doing solo acts. So there's no more bands playing. I guess you could have a band, but you won't work as much. So guys are just going and with their loopers and maybe their backing tracks and stuff and strumming and singing. I just don't have any interest in that. The beauty for me in playing music is creating something with the rhythm section, hiring a great drummer, hiring a great bass player, calling some songs, and say, you know what? We don't have to play any of this like the record. Let's create our own versions of these common songs that people know. That's what I like to do. Yeah, the fun is the chemistry between band members. Absolutely, Bo. I absolutely salute that comment. Now let's get the thumbs up. We got 48 people or 46 people in here. Let's get the thumbs up. This channel is on the way to 10K. And if you have not become a subscriber, doesn't cost anything to subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel. It helps immensely. And man, that is a huge milestone, 10K. I had this channel for over 14 years. And I was stuck at like 367. Hey, Jack, what's happening? I was stuck at 367 subscribers for like a decade. And I eventually, in December of this past year, I decided to start getting in here. Hey, how you doing, Hangers Acto? How you doing? You are in the chat. Yes, you are. I just started taking YouTube serious this year. And it has been an amazing journey, taking it from practically nothing to now I'm on my way to 10K. And once I get to 10K, I'm not going to stop there. I'm going to go to 15. Delta, how you doing? Delta 9 is in the house. Howdy. You getting the Bo Dragon bump. Okay, Bo, are you giving me a bump, bro? You're subscribing to the channel, man. Everybody that's here, if you would subscribe, that helps out so much. But you guys tuning in and joining me on this chat, it helps immensely, and I thank you so much for that. Man, we're just here having some fun and talking about music. So if you have something you want to talk about, hit me up in the chat right now. And if you really want the dirt and the inside stuff, super chat, super thanks helps this channel survive. Thank you, Mark. Thank you so much for being here, man. Mike Holmes, there you are, brother. Glad to have you here. Now, Mike had a gig night last night, I imagine. Wants to know why Yngwie never had a good singer. Bo, I would argue that, who was his first singer, Jeff Scott Soto? I think he was a great singer. Maybe it's the songs that weren't that great. Maybe that's the problem. Had my dear friend Trey Gray moved to Nashville in like 90, started with Faith Hill, Jewel, and has been with Brooks and Dunn for 20 years or so. He was a rocker when he left home here in Indiana. It happens. It happens. Rockers come to Nashville and they need work. Yeah, Graham Bonnet was good. Yngwie played with him. And who was the guy? Joey, what was the guy from Rainbow that sang? Joe Lynn Turner was a great singer. Yngwie had great singers. Now he's just opted to go out and he does the singing now. Why? Because it's cheaper to do it that way. It's cheaper than taking a singer out on the road. And so he can pocket more money. But he had some great singers. Jeff Scott Soto's got pipes for days. But dude, the thing is, Yngwie's music is very European. Yeah, I've heard the Helicasters, Bo, absolutely. Yngwie's music was very European sounding. And that's why I don't think it made the impact on the American charts like, say, Van Halen did. Van Halen had a certain American sound to the writing. Eddie Van Halen was from Europe. But he had that American, thing in his playing and in the harmonies, that Beach Boy harmonies that Van Halen had. And Yngwie didn't have that. You're not going to get to the top of the charts saying, "I am a Viking." You're not going to get to the top of the top 40, bro, singing about "I am a Viking." Yeah. So yeah, well, Bo, David Lee Roth was cool. Yeah, David Lee Roth had sex appeal, and that's what got girls to the show. Playing live music, so much fun. It's hard to make a living keeping the band paid. It is very hard to make a living keeping the band paid. Yes, Yngwie is Bach rather than Beach Boy. And man, Mike, I agree with you. Yngwie didn't have the songs. He had the chops. But you see, his chops were based in European harmonies and melodies. And I think American pop music was so far removed from that because of the blues and R&B and soul that is even in rock and roll. I mean, David Lee Roth singing Ice Cream Man. Listen to his, outro, that cadenza that he does, vocal. He sounds like Ray Charles or something. It's America has something that European doesn't have. Now, I know in Europe now they've got some amazing musicians and soul and all that, but back in those days, dude, this stuff was cooking. This melting pot was cooking in the States. Mike's wife can only take Yngwie for 25 seconds. Well, there you go. That answers that. That answers that. So he didn't have the chick appeal, the girl appeal, the female audience. And that is going to be a huge thing for Van Halen to figure out how I can play some cool stuff, but still appeal to girls and still get the guys to come and hear me do my dwa-da-dee-da, dwa-da-dee-da. That is an amazing accomplishment, man. Yngwie is huge. Same with Man of War, especially Nordic. Well, yeah, see, it makes more sense there, Cocky. It makes way more sense in Europe because you do have that. We are so far removed, even Minnesota that has tons of Swedes and Nords that settled in Minnesota. We're just so far removed from that now that it's unrelatable. It sounds old. Playing Bach melodies and stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot of that. I was listening to Boston the other day, Foreplay. And that's do 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 do. That's all Bach and stuff, but Boston had all those American harmonies and American melodies in their regular songs. As far as plenty of women there that night. Well, yeah, back in the day when Yngwie first came out, if you had long hair and you were playing shows, there would be lots of girls there. And he did have that one hit with Jolyn Turner, Heaven, and that is a radio-friendly song. But, and like I said, back in the day, it wasn't like it is now. If you go to a metal show now, these modern metal bands, there's very few females then now. But if you went to shows back in the day, dude, there would be girls just totally dolled up and going to these heavy metal shows. Now all those girls would be in walkers. Yeah, Mike, absolutely, absolutely. All right, we got 54 people in here, but only 30 likes. So somebody's stalling there. I tell you, sir. Guitar Summit in Germany looked amazing this year. I believe it is the largest guitar show in Europe. Right on. Ever see the movie Sweet and Low Down with Sean Penn about Django? I think I did see that. I did see a movie about Django. And that is, it's an incredible story, man. It's an incredible story. Today, the girls are the fiercest performers. Well, a lot of them are, man. A lot of them are. The female, it's a huge, huge thing. It does seem like that. It seems like the male performers forgot how the sex appeal. And the female performers, some of it is too much. You see some of these pop performers, dude, And it's like walking into a strip club in the 80s. And I'm going, wait a minute here. This I used to have to go into an adult an adult club to see a performance like this. And now these female pop acts are basically performing lap dances on stage. It's a different world. There you go. Yeah, if you have a female singer, the guys have their phones out. Exactly. Man, we're de-sexed by culture and HR, even by statute. A few of us remain. Yeah, man. Where are the male heroes? Where are the guys that the manly men or the manly men? And where are the sex appeal? Where is all of that? I don't know anybody that's. I've talked with a lot of different people about this, and I'm thinking about getting a headstrong little king. That's probably a cool amp, Bo. I first saw Yngwie with Triumph. He was amazing, though, without the songs. By the 80s, it became music for guitar players. Yeah, without the song, man, it just is what it is. And I love Yngwie's playing, man. Rise of the Mangina. Uh, I love Yngwie's playing, and I don't think it's soulless, and I don't think I've heard people say, oh, he doesn't have any soul. I think Yngwie has incredible soul with his playing, and his vibrato is incredible. But I don't know, Kiri. We'll see about that. Remember that Brass Against performance with the Golden I don't remember that hanger. I don't know that one. But man, things have changed a lot in the world. Yeah, and he's got some cool riffs, Bo. He's got some cool riffs. But it's great, but his appeals only to other players. It is, Mike. I tend to agree with you. It's just, and Yngwie's, become, a legend, but in some ways a caricature of himself, having to travel with all those Marshalls. It's like, dude, you only really need one 50-watt head and one 412 cab and a backup head. And that could save you a lot of money. I'm sure it costs Yngwie a lot of money traveling with all those amps. Michael, not worth much, but Brad, that being said, you are one of the most honest and real mofos I've ever known. Michael, thank you so much, my good friend Michael, for chiming in. Man, I appreciate that, brother. We call that a meme of themselves these days. Yeah, Yngwie's kind of become a meme, Do you play your guitar a half-step down tuning? Thanks again, James. Well, James, I tend to sometimes have a guitar that's tuned a half-step down because that is a cool sound. And when I was on the Strip, when I played on the Strip, I played everything a half step down. So yes, I tuned down. But when I came to Nashville, people don't play tuned down a half step. They play in standard tuning. So you got to do what you got to do. I try to have a guitar sitting around that's like, I've got a Wolfgang here, and I keep that in E flat because that's what that guitar does. It does that Van Halen thing. So yeah. I have a guitar tuned to E flat. I have another guitar tuned to like C sharp. It helps the singer. Yeah. Hey Ben, how you doing? Playing E flat and keep a capo handy. Yeah, you can do that too, Bo. I'm not a big fan of capos though. Alex got a Harley Benton Brian May. Right on. Very cool, man. Very cool guitar. Man, I'm just glad to have so many cool people in here, and my old friend Michael Strong for popping in. And what's the favorite axe? Man, I don't even know if I have a favorite here, man. I've got so many cool guitars. You're just tools to me. I don't have a favorite one. The one I play the most these days is my Telecaster, because it's the hardest one to play. So when I have limited amount of time to keep my chops up, I play the Telecaster because it's stiff and it keeps the muscles tense, and it's not easy. But I picked up my Music Man today. This what is this? A Silhouette. I picked up this, And this is so easy to play, dude. These necks on these guitars are they're just incredible. And but I wouldn't practice on this thing because it wouldn't keep my hands in shape. You know, uh, I have to use if I have 15 minutes between editing videos and taking care of my daughter and taking out the trash and doing all the other stuff that I do around the house. If I have time to pick up my guitar for 15 minutes while I'm doing something else and practicing, that's why I play that Telecaster, because it's just stiff, man. What was your favorite artist or gig band you've been with? Joe, that's a great question. My favorite gig to, that's a tough question, man. I don't know if I ever had like my favorite gig would be playing with my friends in Nashville, playing a Saturday night wedding. And dude, I can say that over playing arenas, over playing bars. Thank you. I would say that over anything. You want to see the shirt? There's my shirt. Um, that I enjoyed playing with my friends, playing weddings with all the musicians that I played with in Nashville, over playing a stadium or over playing an arena. Why? Because we would play every type of music in one night. I'd play a little bit of jazz, I'd play some blues, I'd play some rock and roll, I'd play some funk. I play it all in one night, so my schizophrenic musical brain would get a workout. I'd be exhausted because it'd be 4 hours, but it'd be a healthy, sweating it out kind of gig. And that is what I enjoyed playing more than any arena or more than any stadium or any of that stuff. So Mike, that's pretty good, dude. 200 plus beer and food. That's what people around here are paying. That's pretty good, man. That's not too bad. But I think as much as these bars make sometimes, I want to see musicians pay go up. What is a piece of gear you parted with that you never thought you would have? I don't know, man. Thank you, Joe. Thank you. Every piece of gear that I've lost, I wish I had my old Les Paul Custom back. That's the one guitar that I wish I still had. If you said, Brad, you can have one more guitar, and I've thought about this. I'm going to be 60 in 2 years. And my goal is, when I turn 60, is to be able to get a Les Paul Custom. And I don't care if it's used or beat up or Murphy Lab or whatever the hell I got to do. I want to get a Les Paul Custom just because I had one. It was my first really nice guitar, and I was dumb. I was a 19-year-old kid, and I traded it for a bass at the time because I thought, oh, well, I'm gonna get a record deal one day and I'll have millions of dollars. I can replace it. It was a 1969 Les Paul Custom black. It was an awesome guitar. It was worn, chipped, it just had vibe for days. It had the purple interior case, black case with purple interior. And that is the one guitar I want back. The rest of them, sometimes I'll think about guitars I had, but that's the one that I really miss and I wish I still had. I would still play it. But here's the thing. If I get a Les Paul Custom, and those things, man, tend to weigh from 9 pounds to 10 pounds, man, if I could get one made for me, it would be completely chambered, completely hollow in the inside, except for a solid from the neck all the way to the back of the body, a thing of wood there, but hollow on the sides. That would be the perfect guitar. And I would want like the Burst Bucker pickups. I don't want the 490 pickups and all that. Yeah, those were real nice, Christian, man. That's the one piece of gear that I wish I still had. But I was a kid, man. I didn't know what I was doing. I realize that was just stupid, man. I should have never traded that. I should still have that guitar today. Well, we've got 60 people in here. Let's get the thumbs up. Let's get this thing rocking and rolling. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, hit the subscription, hit the notification bell so you get notifications, because I do these impromptu lives. Now, I did an impromptu live. Hey, Mike's got an 80 Gibson V that has that red velvet on the case. Yeah, those are cool, man. Those are cool. And I have a DC Les Paul that's chambered. Yeah, I think, Les Pauls just can be so heavy, man. But yeah, chambering. Dude, TM, what's happening? Do you still have of your guitars from a way back in the day? I still have, and it's probably in one of these gig bags over here. I still have my Zion Turbo that I used to use on the Sunset Strip. So I have that guitar, and that's the one guitar I have from back in those days. Oh, Mia and my daughter and my wife are watching me live. They went to the playground and took Mia's new scooter to the playground. Yeah, I still have that Zion guitar. It's very cool. Brad, biggest crowd you played for? Jacksonville Jaguars Stadium. Football stadium. It doesn't get any bigger than that. And that concert almost got rained out. In fact, Big and Rich were supposed to play the same show that we played. And somehow we were able to sneak on and play our set, and it's taking a long time to get here. Because they're taking the scooter. Yeah, it's probably my daughter's learning how to ride a scooter. So I would imagine that would take a while. We should see you by dinner. Yeah, so that was probably one of the biggest gigs. And look, when you play those arena gigs like that, you're in the locker room. You're showering in a football locker room. And the same thing goes with all the hockey arenas I played in Canada. I played almost every hockey arena across Canada, and those were huge gigs. Opening for Eric Church, every show was packed, dude. Stadiums, not stadiums, but arenas. So those were huge shows, man. And yeah, so there's that. What else do you guys want to talk about? We've got 52 likes. We got 65 people in here. Let's get the thumbs up. Let's get the subscriber count up. We'll get the view count up. I have a 68 Gibson Les Paul bass. Walnut, heavier than furniture. Stupidly removed the frets. Devalued it, but sounds great. Well, Cocky, you could probably put some frets back in that sucker. You could probably do that. Do you have a preference between 2475 and 25.5 scale? Well, 25.5 is a Strat scale, correct? And 2475 is a Les Paul scale. I'd probably have to go with the Strat scale just because once I kind of switched to that scale, that's what I played the most. That's what I played most was Strat style guitars, Fender style guitars. Once the Super Strat era of the 80s started and I got rid of my Les Paul custom, I didn't have a Les Paul until probably 2003. I didn't get another one. I couldn't afford one. That's the reality was, man. They're expensive, dude. Now, I guess the Epiphone, and I've got a couple good Epiphone Les Paul customs here. I've got a Silver Burst, and they're the Epiphone headstock ones. They're good guitars. What effects unit do you use? Bo, it depends on what day it is, what I need to do. I've got several pedal boards. I don't have them in here right now that I use live. And for just playing around the room, I've got right now plugged in the Line 6 Pod Express Black. That's what I've got cranked up here. Let's see. Let's see if it works. Woo! So yeah, that's what I got plugged in here. Metal dude, metal bro. That's what I got plugged in here just for me to putz around and play in the house. And yeah, so about a half scale bass, but not easier to play than full scale. Half scale is light and fun. Full scale active bass sounds better. It's a different sound. It's different sound in a full scale and short scale. I've heard some people say those little like Mustang basses and stuff like that, though those are easier. The strings are flappier. So it's a different feel. I'm thinking about getting one of those for my daughter. And those little short scale bass. I'm thinking that she could grow into that. She said the other day, I'm going to be the greatest bass player ever. So I'll have to call Victor Wooten and tell him, we got some competition coming your way, bro. Flappy, slinky, yeah, something like that. Just buy a Boss octave pedal and play bass on guitar. Nah, it's not the same, bro. I've got a bass over here. I talked about it in my last live stream, playing bass. Rules, dude, don't forget who EVH is or you'll get kicked. Anarchy, you're absolutely right. If you think that is Neil Young, you could get kicked out of the room. It's only rock and roll, but I like it. Only rock and roll. Right? About to listen to your Joseph Wooten interview and saw you were live. Thank you, Leah. Please listen to that today. It is incredible. They are super cool to their fans. Man, those guys are saints, dude. They are the patron saints of music. You're not going to meet anybody nicer than those guys. And a perfect example of how to treat people and how to do things right. So yeah, man, thank you, Funeral. Yeah, it was, man, here's the thing. And I don't have another interview scheduled for my channel. So I might not do another one for a while because, I feel like these interviews need to get, and I might just chop up some of these interviews and start making clips out of them and promote them a little bit more. That's taking guitar lessons from Wooten. All right. The Reggie Wooten and Roy Wooten, I believe they still live together. They run like a dojo over there where there's all these guys over there and they're sitting there and they're practicing and trading ideas and licks. And man, I've been long out of that world of being that guy because I used to show up with my guitar and go over to Reggie's place and he'd show me, stuff and to see that they're still fostering and helping creative people reach their goals. They're just saints, bro. They're just musical saints. I had the great good fortune to meet Victor Wooten when he did a seminar at the GC I ran. Awesome, Jack. Those guys they're just super cool guys, man. So, I'm just, Scott on Tape did a great segment on the Sunset Strip and he was on X5 also. You should interview him. He's real cool. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm going to do any more interviews. I've got one other guy that I reached out to. It would be a real interesting and cool interview. But maybe I do something else for the next few weeks until I decide I'm going to get back out there and interview some more people. Uh, yeah, keys for Steve Miller for 30 years, dude. Can you imagine? I can't imagine doing a road gig more than 3 or 4 years. Because for me, that's usually how long it would last. I do 3 or 4 years of heavy grind. Of course, Steve Miller is pretty much a summer act. So each year it's probably June, July, August, and a sprinkling of gigs throughout the year, and only really probably grinding 3 or 4 months out of the year. I don't know. I don't follow its tour schedule, but that's what I believe it to be. But yeah, man, more Sunset Strip horror stories, dude. You know what's the horror of the Sunset Strip? I think I have heard Rodrigo and Gabriella. My dear blind to the Canadian border, right on. Right, I'm glad to have you from Robert. Glad to have you here. Les Paul was Steve Miller's godfather. You're absolutely right, Scott. You're absolutely right. So we got people from all over the world, dude, watching this podcast, watching me say, dude. People want to know the horror of the Sunset Strip, man. It was scary times, dude. I mean, dude, I saw just my first year there going to GIT and having to walk, through Hollywood to get to school. Um, Mike, I never had that experience. That wasn't that wasn't part of it, but maybe for some it was. Do you think Nashville will get the vibe Hollywood has now? Man, I don't know. I don't know. Welcome to the jungle, indeed, Anarchy. Yeah, man, it was scary, dude. I mean, there were several times where I'd walk out of my apartment in Hollywood and end up having to sprint down the street to get away from Psycho, who just decides I'm going to be his victim, that day. And rather than I don't want to wrestle with a crackhead. So it's easier to just run. Be happy. Thank you so much. Did you have any interactions with Paul Shortino back in your Los Angeles days? All right. Paul Shortino. Okay, well, I had a good friend back in the day. Her name was Frenae, right? And Frenae at one time dated our singer in Shock. And Frenae was a blonde back in the day, very, very beautiful girl. And she, be happy. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. She ended up dating Paul Shortino's, I believe it's his brother. And she's married to him now and has been for a long time. I think his name is Vinny Shortino. And I believe that he was working in the recording field at that time. But they have since, way back, moved to Ohio. So she lives in Ohio with Vinny Shortino. Her last name has been Shortino for years. And Paul, I did see Paul Shortino sing for the first time at that, what is that rock thing out in Vegas? It's Raiding the Rock Vault or something like that. I saw, they live in Lima. Okay, so him and Frenae Shortino live in Lima. I know Frenae was, working somewhere there or something. I'm not sure. I think maybe they owned a convenience store or something like that. But I saw Paul Shortino singing with Raiding the Rock Vault, and he was great, dude. This was probably about 6 or 7 years ago, and he was awesome. He was absolutely awesome. So, but that's my only interaction. He runs a party shop named Vinny's. Okay, so that's and I hung out with Frenae a few times. We went out. One time I went out partying. And Frenae there was a guy that I worked at this hotel in West Hollywood, right? And there was this English guy that was like, he was from abroad, he was from England, and he was working at the hotel, but it was his last day in America, and he'd never been out. He'd never gone out partying in the States. And I was like, dude, you've never been out? Like, what? I said, dude, come out with me tonight. I'll take you out. So I had, I think Frenae like called me, or I called her or something and said, hey, there's this English guy in town and he's never been out in LA. And let's just go, let's go take him to a bar or something. So we ended up taking this English guy out on the town and partying. And yeah, so that's my only connection with those guys. But just good memories of good friendships, just friendships back in the day. So yeah, B, I hope that answers your question. And salute to you. Thank you so much for that super chat, super thanks. That helps so much. And I'm glad when you mentioned that name, I could have a story behind it. Probably about 2 miles down the road from me, I partied with Vinny all night long one night, years and years ago. He's cool. Yeah, those guys are super cool, man. Super, super cool. Thank you, Be Happy. I really appreciate that, man. That helps so much when I get, I have goals that I have to make with this channel, and if I don't make my numbers, dude, it's like I do not want to stop this channel. I want to keep the momentum going. I want to keep providing great content for you guys and providing these stories and letting people know, about the music business. So, man, when you do a super chat like that, it helps immensely. Mike is still searching for the brown note. Aren't we all? Aren't we all? SM, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you're here, man. I figure I'll keep going till the wife shows up. Why not? They went out to the playground. I'm here in my sweats and my Elvis t-shirt, and we'll just keep talking. An English guy would enjoy LA, but you should go to an English pub. There was an English pub. I forget the name of it now. It was right there on Sunset. But he's already been to an English pub. I forget where we took him that night, but we showed him a good time. We showed him a good time. So yeah, there was it was the something and fiddle, dog and fiddle, or cat and fiddle. There was an English pub on Sunset called the Cat and Fiddle. Do you offer guitar lessons? Yes, John. I had somebody yesterday hit me up, sent me an email. Go to my channel page, click on badbrad, and you can see in the channel description, there's a link to my email. Send me an email, and I'd be more than happy to give you a Zoom guitar lesson if you're down for that. Absolutely, hit me up, and maybe we can make that happen. It did sound interesting. Yeah, I've always been curious about the 432 hertz tuning. But here's the thing, man. In Nashville, you would play with so many different musicians that you had to have a standard. You couldn't just, well, I'm the 432 guy and show up and everybody else is in 440. So it even tuning down a half step, it's just not an option unless you have the same guys every night and you tell them, look, man, we're going to tune down tonight, or everybody tune down to E flat. And even then, if you play an E flat, some of the bass players will just not tune down and they'll just get around it. If they've got a 5-string, they'll just play the stuff that way. So Prince's Bar in San Diego's Little Italy is a great Irish pub. Okay, that sounds cool. I didn't spend a ton of time in San Diego. I did go down there and party a little bit. Used to party in Tijuana, man. Buckets of beer for $5, bro. I could tell you some Tijuana stories. But yeah, that's a whole nother program if you know what I'm saying. I would probably have to tell those stories on Patreon because, man, that was a wild place. OB is the bomb. All right. Let's keep this thing rocking and rolling. $5 and all the barbecue iguanas you can eat. Back in those days, I used to sell these hot dogs on the street. these bacon wrapped hot dogs down in TJ. Call it TJ, short for Tijuana. And people would eat these bacon wrapped hot dogs, and I think they were like $1 or something like that. So you could get, I never ate one, but I know people that did. And yeah, you get this $5 buckets of beer, and you go down to those clubs down there, and there were, gentlemen's clubs as well there. And man, it was wild. It might have been Tree Chickens. I don't know what it was, Mike. And I was so afraid of getting Montezuma's revenge. Yeah, Danger Dogs, street meat. Yeah, I was so scared of getting sick that I never ate them. I never ate them. But yeah, man, wild times down in TJ, bro. Wild times. What was the Jim Morrison song? Strange times inside the gold mine. They have carts out in front of the clubs in East LA. Yeah, those hot dog carts, and they sell those bacon wrapped hot dogs. They still do that. I bet they're good, dude. I bet they're like, I would probably be more likely to try it now. Will you ever show us your platinum record? Kiri, would you like to see it? I'll get it for you right now. This is, I'm going to take this down off the wall. I think I have done this before on this channel. Here we go. If you could see that, if you can read that, this is my one platinum album. It is a platinum sales of more than 1 million copies. It's a single. This is a platinum single. But as you can see, it's got an album on it. It's got my name on it. I've got my platinum stuff on this back wall in here. Man, my little office/studio is a complete mess right now. So I can't just show you the whole wall because there's cases and stuff. This back wall over here is just full of cases. And, I've had another company reach out to me today to send me an acoustic guitar. Did you ever party with Diddy? Hell nah, bro. I don't, man, that's nonsense, bro. Is it real or just platinum colored? It's not real platinum. They just, these companies make these. Now you would think for how much these things cost, that it would be real, but no. They're just these companies make these things. My old drummer, Bob, out in LA back in the day, he used to do mock-ups of these things for labels. And he would see, William, thank you. I try to keep things factual, actual and factual, right? What was that band? The Left Eye and TLC. That's actual and factual. Wall behind you would look good, dark purple. Yeah, I don't know if my wife would let me do that, but I have told her that, I might have to just turn this whole office into a set. Right now, it's just kind of the chaotic rock and roll backdrop that it is right now with some, we got Edward Van Halen. Everybody seems to like that. And you got a whipped cream and other delights. People seem to like that. And we got Harley Girl right here. And you got a little Elvis. And you got a Boy Elroy flyer. And you got a strut show that me and my wife went to in LA. And then over in that corner right there is a Bad Brad Into the Ether album cover. I'm going to probably have to turn this whole room into some kind of studio or something. I don't know. But for now, man, I'm kind of liking just keeping this real and keeping it raw and less production, less nonsense and just pure 100% real. Did you like the Black Eyed Peas? Not particularly. No. No, it's not something that was really on my radar. But they were, I remember seeing and hearing about them in LA long before they got signed and became famous. I remember hearing about them as like a club act. And before they had Fergie, they were just kind of known as like a collective of like hip hop artists and dancers. They were like a dance troupe, hip hop group. You ever run into that weirdo Timbo in Nash? Who is Timbo? Who is, are you, Kimbo Slice? Are we talking about Timbo Slice? I don't know who Timbo is. Who is Timbo? Timbo! Did you ever see Fishbone? I did not see Fishbone, but I had some friends that went to school with Fishbone and the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I had some buddies that knew those guys, but I never got to see. I've never seen the Chili Peppers live, and I've never seen Fishbone live. So there's that. Never got that. Never was fortunate. I wanted to go see the Chili Peppers, but now ticket prices are just insane. They're just absolutely insane. I'm not paying that for anybody. Fishbone, Hermosa Beach, way back in the day. Yeah, man. I remember hearing about the Chili Peppers playing in Tijuana at some club. I think it was called Iguanas or something like that. And I thought, man, that would have been just an incredible show. I wanted to go to that show. But man, I think that might have been too crazy. You ever the funk from thrash band More Dread? I have not. That is an interesting sounding name, though. Did you ever notice how Scott Weiland bore a resemblance to Herb Alpert? A little bit. Quite possibly, yeah, a little bit. He does kind of look like that. He also, Julio Iglesias. To all the girls I've loved before, traveling and out my door. I just think, dude, I think that song is hilarious. You're just literally singing about the trollops that have traveled in and out of your door. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think I think that is a funny song. And to be the old romantic, I had the same Elvis, Jimmy, Eddie arc as you. Relate very much to that. Thank you, Joey. Elvis, Jimi Hendrix, and Edward Van Halen. I would say that's my trifecta. That would be my Mount Rushmore. Maybe I would need one more for that. So who else would I put on that wall? Who else would I put on that mountain? Who else would I put on there besides those three? Man, I don't know. I think that's it. That's all I would need. That was maybe, I can't think of anybody else. Bo, I thought Rob Halford was, man, I don't know, dude. My mom had a Johnny Winter. I love Johnny Winter. And I had the album that had Tommy from SRV's band on it. Really killer album. Borrowed it from my dad's record collection. But not something that Holdsworth, Holdsworth is amazing. Love Holdsworth. But Holdsworth, I wish Holdsworth had made a lot of money. I wish he had figured out a formula that could have worked and made the money that he deserved to make. Holdsworth was incredible. But man, he was just so far advanced than everybody. It's just so difficult to, to be that genius and be starving. It's just so sad, dude. It's so sad. But Holdsworth would be up there. He's one of those guys I listened to IOU albums so many times. I can't play any of that stuff, dude. It turns off the masses. Yeah, if Holdsworth had just done a rock record with a good, I think that's what Road Games was intended to be, getting Jack Bruce and having Holdsworth on there. But I just think it fell short. It fell short. Brian, how you doing, man? This is turning into a long live stream. I'm probably going to have to, at some point, if the family makes it back here, I may have to check out. But man, if anybody else has any, super chat questions that you really want me to dive deep in, any deep undercover questions, hit me in that. Otherwise, I may have to boogie, oogie till we just can't boogie no more. I don't get fusion guitar. Well, Cocky, what do you not get about it? It's really just an extension. It's just kind of, taking it to the next level, as far as, learning something and then doing something different. Well, I'm hearing the wife and my child are here, so I'm going to check out everybody and take care of them. But thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. And everybody have a great and awesome Sunday afternoon. Love you guys, Lucky Sevens. Thank you for being here. Cheers, everybody. Here's a little Red Bull. Have a great and awesome Sunday. And I will see you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Join me for a brand new video. Thank you so much. Everybody have a good one. See you.